Yeah. Let's go. We just gotta go hard. I go the hardest. I bring the pain. Not what you used to. It's all part of the game. Yeah, I just gotta go hard. I just gotta go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Yeah. Oh yeah, the beat's back. Adrenaline pumping through my veins. Can't relax. Original. I am not the same as these.
And welcome back to Pucks Across Borders, your daily betting preview for the NHL. We are back. With me in the house. So grateful. Jim Behringer back by popular demand, popular request. This is Pucks Across Borders on a Saturday afternoon on Pucks Across Borders YouTube and Total Apex Media on the Twitter sphere. Brought to you by, as always, First Round Collectibles. Right now, use promo code SportsAddict for 10% off whatever sports card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off selected cards. That means with promo code SportsAddict, you get up to 60% off selected cards in the First Round Collectibles store. Go to firstroundcollectibles.com today. Use promo code SportsAddict for 10% off your order. All right, Jim, welcome back, brother. How you doing on a hockey Saturday? 2 Game 7s this weekend. If you like basketball, you got 2 Game 7s of basketball as well. Lots to get into from the week that was. I haven't talked to you in 3-4 days. Lots to get into. Plus, like I said, some Game 7s tonight. So how we doing on a Saturday, bro? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, Mark. Glad to be here Saturday. Rocking and rolling. Get ready, prime it up. Game 7, Colorado and Dallas, and St. Louis and Winnipeg. Considering there was no Game 7 action in the Eastern Conference, really too much drama. Well, there was some drama, but not as much as we think there would be. Fitting Colorado, Dallas goes 7. It's kind of should be like best of 9 with those two teams. They've actually played an instant classic series. And then St. Louis and Winnipeg, and it's been crazy. Like, I'm getting shades of and reminders of what happened in 2011 with the Vancouver Canucks, with what's going on with Connor Hellebuck, go back to Roberto Luongo. But, I mean, it's just been, first round lived up to a lot of good hockey here. So, looking forward to breaking it all down.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to talk briefly about Game 7 Jets and Blues later on in the show. There's lots to get to from the week, but since you brought it up, let's just start there. And I feel somewhat like bad, I guess, because so many good storylines from the week that was. You got the Leafs finally breaking through, second round first round series victory in 21 years. They were 1-for-14 in their previous games where they could clinch a series. You have the Canes getting through in 5, the Capitals breaking through. You have, Vegas breaking through, the Oilers breaking through, all these positive stories. And my mind, and the Blues, like continuing the excellent back half that they've had. Jim, I got to be real with you. My mind just keeps zeroing in on the negatives. I just can't get enough of the negative storylines in this play in the last week. Number one being the Kings, because I think that is a crazy narrative, and the Jets. So let's just talk about it. I can't remember what game it was the last time we spoke, but last night, Game 6 in St. Louis, where the Blues haven't lost in 2 months.
15-game winning streak at home in St. Louis.
15-game winning streak, and the Jets were up 3-2 with a chance to clinch Game 5 in Winnipeg. I didn't think Hellebuck played great. I thought he played okay. If memory serves correct, the second goal in Game 5 was not very good, but the Jets played a really good defensive game, no matter the fact that he gave up a bad goal. You and I talked about this. When he gives up a bad goal, the whole team self-destructs. And in game 5, they found a way to not let that happen. Last night, Jim, you're up 1-0 or down 1-0, tie it 1-1, just like that, 3-1. It's still 3-1 with half the game left. And they just packed it in. We all know what happens. They lose 5-2. What's your perspective of what happened last night? Connor Hellebuck again. And I was listening to the radio like today, and everybody, it always goes side by side. Everyone's like, well, Connor Hellebuck, needs to play better, but the team needs to play better in front of him. And in my mind, I'm tired of that narrative now. I think there needs to be 2 sentences there. Connor Hellebuck needs to play better, period. The Jets need to play better. There's no but here anymore. Everybody sucks right now. What's your takeaway from that game yesterday, man? Because, I know they're going back home, but how can you feel good about the Jets' chances? I mean, I know they're at home, but you get pulled 3 times in St. Louis. You're about to win the Vezina for the 2nd straight year. The team, anyway, I've rambled on enough. What's your takeaway from last night's game, man?
Dude, the entire team stunk. Everybody was bad for Winnipeg. The entire team was bad. But the problem is we've talked about it before. You can't do this Olay stuff in front of Connor Hellebuck all the time. Right? Guys just mail it in. Guys just do flybys. They just watch. Think about it. St. Louis has 24 points from defensemen in 6 games. Total 24 points. Cam Fowler has 10 in the series. They're literally just getting pressed. They're getting traffic in front. The problem is Mr. Goaltender over there. And look, Connor Hellebuck's a great guy. I've talked to him. He understands the game. He understands the position. At some point, I said this on the show too, and I'm hearing a lot of goalie experts say it too. At some point, he's got to change his style. He can't just be all about this technique because it's getting him in trouble. He's playing too deep in the net. He's just always in this butterfly V shape that they do. Pucks are going above him on the shoulder when he's down in the ground. He's fragile right now. It definitely reminds me of what happened to Luongo in the 7-game series that the Bruins and Canucks played in the Stanley Cup Final. Luongo looks great at home, and in the 3 games that they played in Boston, he looked like crap. And I'm going to be honest, I said it in 2011, Corey Schneider should have started Game 6 for the Vancouver Canucks, and maybe we have a different outcome because I think Corey Schneider was playing well. I know you don't want to do that, flip the switch. I almost think you might have tried to see what happens. You have 1 game. Why not start Eric Conry right away? I know Connor Hellebuck's your guy, but you got to change something on the road. Maybe, just maybe, it would have worked. I'm not saying that's what you need to do because you're going to go to the Vezina Trophy winner. But at some point, the team in front of him, defensively, just not played great in the playoffs. But he's got to come up with a save and a big save. I thought he turned the corner in the 2nd period. I was like, oh, he's making a couple of big saves here. And just unraveled in 53 seconds. 2 goals in 53 seconds, and that was the game.
And that's the thing, Jim, is you scored 2 goals quick, and it's 3-1. Like I said before, the game's not over. You got half the game left, but you and me and everyone watching, and up here, I had the Sportsnet feed, and Friedman said it. He's in the 2nd intermission, he said after that 3rd goal went in, the game was over, and that's just crazy to me. How we can all watch the game. 3 goals go in, half a game left, and we all know that the game's done. It
reminded me of 2019 in Game 7 because I was on I still cover the Bruins to a point, but I was really in depth with Boston from about 2013 to their title run, through the 2019 run, and had an eye not only on New Jersey but Boston. And all I heard was Tuukka Rask. He's not a playoff goalie. Tuukka Rask. I'm like, and I look at what's going on, and I'm like, well, this is the best goalie in the world. And I look what Tuukka Rask did for the Boston Bruins, and I'm like, wait a minute. You got on Tuukka Rask all the time for not being a playoff goaltender, but he was. The team in front of him just did it. Once St. Louis scored the first goal in period 1 of 2019, after Binnington made like 20 saves in a row, it probably was less than that, but Boston was pressing and on the power play. Once the first goal went in, I think Ryan O'Reilly or whoever scored at the time, once it was 1-0 St. Louis, the game was over. When they made it 2-0 at the end of the second period, the game was definitely over because Boston wasn't coming back. But the problem is I've seen so many good teams not let the score affect them. Like Colorado's done it, Dallas has done it, New Jersey's done it. Like these teams figure out, okay, on the bench 3-1, so what? Let's just keep playing our game. Problem is now, no Mark Scheifele, Nikolai Ehlers is there, but the problem is now they don't have confidence in their goaltender to make a save. Okay, so if that's the issue, go play better defense and protect your goaltender, like Carolina did with Kochekov.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's kind of my point, and where my brain goes now, Jim, is like everyone's talking about like Connor Hellebuck. I'm talking about Connor Hellebuck. We all are, but my mind has completely shift now to like, okay, we know about the Hellebuck thing. We know what Hellebuck is. We in like the playoffs. We know the numbers. We've watched the games. We get it. He's not the only fragile one anymore. And that was my point when everyone's like, yes, Connor Hellebuck has his issues, but the rest of the team. There's no more but. That's two separate points now. There's no more but like down the middle. It's Connor Hellebuck and the team. The team is just as fragile as Connor Hellebuck is right now. And to me, you look, and I mean, like we're going to talk about it. I'll just quickly throw it up here. Tomorrow night, game 7 in Winnipeg, St. Louis plus 128, Winnipeg minus 154. If you think St. Louis will win this game, bet this number right now, because by the time the puck drops tomorrow night, this number is going to be completely bet down. And in my mind, Jim, like I'm trying to think off the top of my head. It's what? 4 periods, 4.5 periods, 5 that Winnipeg has 100% been the best team through 6 games. Like, to me, it's not even a question. St. Louis has been the better team.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like they've done enough to win some games, but
like 4 periods-ish.
Yeah.
The Winnipeg Jets have looked like the best team.
Yeah. So to me, I know that they're not in St. Louis, and that's where every team goes to die right now, but I just can't feel good about it on the other side. And there's a really interesting conversation with this, and I want to talk about this in the context of different teams, because my same thought goes to the Oilers. My same thought goes to the Hurricanes, where yes, full marks to those teams for winning. Full marks to the Blues for winning. But the disaster that is, and like less so with the Devils, like super banged up and whatever. But yes, full marks to those teams for winning. But the disaster on the other side of the ice, to me, speaks more volumes than the way the team's actually playing. No question about it. The Blues are out to kill right now. They've been the better team. They've been playing so well. They know the weakness of the Jets, and they're pouncing on it. But to me, it's hard to fully buy into what I'm watching from the Oilers, the Blues, and the Canes because of the train wreck that's on the other side of the ice.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, like, the better teams, especially in like the Washington and Carolina series, the better teams absolutely won and showed that they were the best teams. Even Toronto, to an extent, showed that they were the better team when it mattered the most.
Yep.
Give full marks to Ottawa for making it a series, but the Toronto Maple Leafs showed why they were a better team. The Florida Panthers showed why they were a better team in that series. Tampa is just beat up. I mean, you look at the laundry list of injuries, the guys should be in the ER and in a hospital beds for a little bit. But they played through it, and they still made a 5-game series and had a chance to probably make it a 6-game series. You're seeing the St. Louis Blues aren't an 8 seed just as a reminder of like what the Kings did in 2012. I mean, they're just not an 8 seed. They just have too much talent and they're rolling right now and they're playing so well. But if you think about it and you look at it and you say to yourself, if Winnipeg needs to win this game, they're going to have to rely on just playing defense and getting a goal here or there and needing your goaltender to make a big stop. Right now, Jordan Binnington has the confidence because John Cooper basically said at Four Nations, you're my guy no matter what everybody at the outside noise says, no matter what kind of leaky goal you give up. And he did give up leaky goals in some of those games in that tournament. But when push came to shove, Jordan Binnington made the saves when he needed to make the saves. And in those overtime sessions against Sweden and in the overtime and third period against Team USA in the final, he was there and made the save. Connor Hellebuyck has yet to show that he can do it. Even Pierre Korchekov, who hadn't seen action in a long time, he gave up a couple soft goals, but when it mattered, he made saves. Goalies are making saves, but the best goaltenders in the world, and all 3 guys that are up for the Vezina, did not play well in their series.
No.
And they just didn't. I mean, look, we can talk about the Kings all we want. Darcy Kemper had a couple great games. The Kings just wasted it. And the Kings
I agree.
Second round right now. I mean, let's be honest. Like if the LA Kings decided not to take their foot off the gas pedal, they'd be sitting in the second round right now waiting.
Well, and so let's go to that here in like 30 seconds, just real quick to finish up. The Hurricanes in Game 5, they're down 3-0 like rather quickly. And Kochekov, not the best start. Freddie Anderson goes down once again. The game or like 2 games before. But the Canes knew who they were. They know what they can do. They grabbed themselves by the you-know-whats, and they found out a way to come back and to get the win. And that is something that the Jets have proven time and time again. They are not capable of that. They're not. Now, tomorrow night, and this was the same conversation with the Toronto Maple Leafs, is the only way to change the narrative is to change the narrative. Like the only way to change this is to go out tomorrow night and win.
Right.
I'll tell you what, though, Jim, one last final thought. If the Jets do win tomorrow night, they're not doing this for 4 rounds. No. I think if the Jets win tomorrow night and you're Colorado or Dallas, I think you're just licking your chops waiting to play the Jets in the second round. Right. I think I would much rather play the Jets than the Blues, but we'll move on. The Kings and the Oilers. Oilers win the series 4-2. Last time you and I were on, we talked about it. It was after Game 2, I believe. Or sorry, after Game 4, I believe. And we talked about the whole thing with the Kings. So we already talked about like Games 3, 4, the bad coaches challenge, Quentin Byfield not being able to clear the zone. We talked about all of that. The fact of the matter is, Jim, and I'm really, really curious to see what you have to say about this, because to me, I didn't like the Oilers at the beginning of the season. I figured they'd make the playoffs, but I thought that they lost too much during the offseason. I didn't think that they were going to be contenders again this season. Going into, and I mean, you and I did the playoff preview, right? Like you and I both like the Kings playing the Oilers just 2 weeks ago. It's still hard for me to believe in the Oilers. Shout out to Pickard and the whole deal. It's hard for me to buy what the Oilers are selling, because this should have been a sweep and the Kings should have been waiting in California for the last, or in Vegas or wherever, for the last like 4 or 5 days. This series should have been over like 5 days ago. And it's just, and Like the Kings had leads in all 6 games. All 6 games. In the third period, I believe in 5 of the 6. That might not be 100% right. But this was the Kings series to lose, and they lost it. And I know that McDavid's great. I know that Draisaitl's great. I know that Evander Kane was great, like when he came back. I know they, Pickard made some good saves. He wasn't great, but he was good enough. I mean, this is the question. Is this series, Jim, more about the demise of the Kings through 6 games, or are we praising the Oilers? Because I can't get to the Oilers part of it. I just can't. I don't know.
I'm on the Kings side of this, and I've been on the Kings side of this, and you can't sit back for 20 minutes in 2 games and let the Oilers dictate play and find their game. You had them on the ropes. And I don't want to hear about the stat. Oh, the Kings had a lead in Game 6, and it's in the first period. Like teams that come back in the first. I don't count comebacks if you take over the game in the first period. From the second half of the game, if you're down from the second half of the game, which is the 10-minute mark of the second period, and you're trailing and you come back to win, that's a comeback victory. Okay, not in the first period when you're exchanging 6 goals in about 5 minutes. Like that's not like the Kings have a lead, but you know what? It's still the first period, and anything can happen in the first period. Yeah. So let's get that out of the way. And the narrative: the Kings keep blowing leads in this series. They blew a lead in games 3 and 4, and it cost them. Majorly cost them. They took the foot off the gas pedal, and they let the Oilers' depth and the Oilers team that we saw go to the Stanley Cup final take over. Because the Oilers had no business getting to Game 6 and no business winning this series. Kudos to them. But it's a bad job on Jim Hiller's part for not managing his team properly. Finally, he decided to play Jordan Spence and Brant Clark in Game 6 and was rewarded. But he didn't play enough of his third and fourth lines.
Agreed.
The Oilers under Chris Knobloch rolled all 4 lines every game, regardless of the score. The Kings played the same guys. And if you go look at the stat sheets, you'll see the guys that averaged more than 20 minutes and the guys that less than 15 minutes in the game. If you didn't have faith in your bottom 6 pairing and your bottom 6 forwards, then what did you play 82 games for?
Yeah.
To see what you had. You needed to play more players. They ran out of gas because they played the same 10 guys throughout the series, and the Oilers took advantage of it. And look, kudos to the Oilers for getting their game together. But the LA Kings allowed them to do it. I knew the first game, the minute they allowed the Oilers to come back from that 4-0 series, 4-0 lead, they blew that 4-0 lead. I'm like, this is going to remind me of what happened against Calgary. When Calgary won that shootout in Game 1, and then the Edmonton Oilers took over.
Yeah.
Much the same thing, except this time the LA Kings were dominating on the road and then just gave it right back. That's just poor management by the LA Kings, by the coach. There's a lot of question marks coming out of LA right now about, who's the general manager going to be? Is the coach coming back? Systems that they got to play, players that are coming back. This was supposed to be the year the LA Kings beat the Edmonton Oilers. They didn't do it. This is just embarrassing for a team that played really good at home, wasted 2 performances by Kemper because they sat back and thought that was the best course of strategy.
Yeah, and I picked the Devils to beat the Canes, and I know some people picked Montreal to beat Washington, but for the most part, if you pick the Devils like I did, or you pick the Canadiens like other people did, for the most part, people who did that did it because, not every favorite can win. There has to be some underdog. So you try to find the narrative of what dog will win, and you kind of go with that. Everyone, obviously saying that generally speaking, everybody had the Kings. This wasn't some cult group of people like, oh, I think the Kings might. No, like this was a complete general consensus that this is the year that the Kings can move forward, and they were moving forward, and they choked it away. I'm glad that you mentioned Hiller, because the two things is, number one, like you said, not only did they only roll basically their top two lines, but top three lines. The subplot to that context, Jim, is that not all, but the majority of their best players are old.
Yeah.
Like their best players are 24, 25 years old.
Injury. And Daddy missed half the season with an ankle injury.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's the thing. Like Kopitar, God bless him, man. The guy keeps putting up great numbers. Who did I just say? Kopitar.
Fiala, Kempe had great years. Quentin Byfield took a step. Like the Kings made progress this year. The problem is they just couldn't beat the Edmonton Oilers because just bad coaching decisions.
Well, and that's where I'm going next, Jim. Is you kind of mentioned it there, Jim Hiller. It's his first year as a coach, first full year. I hate the fact, we talked about this, I think, during your show, is you get hired to be fired in this league. I hate it. 25% of the league has a coaching spot available. I hate it. It really bothers me. Whatever. We've talked about it before. But can't you justify? I think this was bad enough where it's like, okay, we've seen enough. We just can't bring you back.
I don't know. I mean, they're going to have to make that decision. I mean, it's just bad coaching decisions, right? Like, everybody wants to point to the challenge and all that stuff. That's not to me, that's a minuscule thing that the series was already changed when the LA Kings decided to sit back in the third period in both games 3 and 4 to me. Like, I don't care about that challenge as much as everybody's making it a big deal about that goal. To me, you sat back and you let the Edmonton Oilers with 97 and 29 dictate play. And oh, by the way, neither one really factored into games 5 and 6. It was the depth of the Edmonton Oilers that beat your depth because you chose not to play your entire roster.
Yeah.
That's what it's more about than a coach's challenge when the game is tied.
I just think, Jim, like what bothers me about that challenge, and I'm one of those guys that like you're talking about, because I thought it was huge, but the reason why is even though they scored, and they being the the game was still tied 4-4. Like, you weren't going down 5-4. That was the game tying goal. To me, that coach's challenge, and maybe he thought this, maybe he didn't. To me, that said, I don't trust my guys. Like this game is over if they tie the game. That's what that said to me. Coach's challenge, we all know the risk. If you don't get it, 2-minute power play. There was nothing there to challenge. And I think that's where it becomes a big deal, is everybody at home stuffing their face with stuffed crust Pizza Hut pizza and, pounding back 12 beers. We all knew that there was nothing to challenge. So I think that's where I kind of focus on it a bit.
No, yeah, I get it. And there was nothing to challenge in that Winnipeg and St. Louis game in Game 6 on the first goal, because if you look at it, Buchnevich doesn't ever touch Telebuck, and he's looking, and I'm like, bro, your own guy touched you. Like, Sandberg's the guy that made contact with you. So, like, I don't know what you're trying to challenge here.
Yeah.
Or they didn't, because it was so close. But, yeah, I mean, everybody knew it wasn't goalie interference. Most of the thing was it was going to be kicked in. But still, at that point, the Oilers had already taken over the game. So
you're right.
It doesn't matter. They really took over the game because you just sat back at the beginning of the third period. Like, I can hear about the challenge every day of the week, but the problem is when you're dominating on the road and you're up and you just take your foot off the gas pedal, the Kings got what they deserved because they decided that they didn't want to play hockey in 2 third periods. And the Edmonton Oilers, and again, it's a different, like, I get what Jim Hiller said. It's a different series if Byfield gets that out, but he didn't. Like that puck has to get out of the zone.
Yeah. And it's the same point of that I'll go back to with in a different context, but the Jets game last night is that happened in game 4. Like the series was tied 2-2.
Yeah, exactly.
You had 2 of the next 3 games at home.
And they laid an egg on home ice in game 5.
Yeah. So, like, you can blame the coach's challenge, which I do. You can blame Quentin Byfield, which everybody does. But that, like, the series was halfway over.
Well, it's like you go back to everybody wants to blame Bartman and Cubs in 03. They still had another game. And, oh, by the way, still had a couple innings to win a game. And they didn't do it.
Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. I just feel like I'm not a Kings fan. I could really care less as a Leafs fan.
As somebody who's seen this team the whole year, seeing them in Quebec City to now, it's just disappointing because they were playing a certain way up there. And they talked about playing to a standard, which is the Florida Panthers, and they didn't do it in the playoff series against the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah.
They completely changed how they played their game.
That is probably the most, like, gut wrenching I have felt watching a team that's not my own team.
Yeah,
like the idea of them choking that series away. So very, very quickly, because like round 2 starts next week, we won't get super into it now, but moving forward, the Oilers now play the Golden Knights. I thought that the Kings, the way they were playing, during the regular season, especially at home, I thought the Kings matched up really nicely, like against Vegas. And I actually, before the playoffs, I had the Kings beating Vegas in the second round to go to the conference final. So that whole half of my Western Conference bracket is gone now. But do you like the Oilers matching up here against Vegas? I have a feeling most people are going to ride Vegas, and rightfully so. Is what you saw, based on the conversation we just had, is what you've seen from the Oilers enough for you to back them against the Golden Knights starting on Monday night?
No.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. No. Because they still have too many lapses in their game. Their pair of Bouchard and Nurse could get exposed by Vegas. And if they have lapses in their game, Vegas has enough more and has the firepower to pepper Calvin Pickard, and the puck's going to go in the net.
Yeah.
Like, Vegas is a bigger, stronger defensive team. Bruce Cassidy is not afraid to – he will roll all of his lines. Vegas found
big time.
That game 4 against Minnesota, when they won in overtime, they found something. Yeah, they got helped out by an offside challenge in game 5, no doubt about it. It was millimeters, right? Or else, or else there's probably game 7. But Vegas got through the first round, and usually when they can get past the first round, that's when they become dangerous. They have a better team than the Edmonton Oilers do. I know Edmonton's rolling, and they're playing, and they want to get back to... I'm just still not sold on their goaltending.
No way, man.
Beaten this team in the playoffs before. Aiden Hill's won a Stanley Cup. I'm just not still sold on Calvin Pickard.
No. And I mean, listen, I will welcome everybody watching. I will welcome everybody in 2 months from now.
In Edmonton, please don't hate me, because I have a lot of friends at Edmonton. But I mean, it's just the fact of the matter is I just don't think that they're good enough to beat Vegas.
Yeah, and I mean, that was going to be my point, is that people from Edmonton, in 2 months from now, if you guys make it to the final and you want to come at me, that's fine. I completely deserve it. I didn't believe in Edmonton in September. I didn't believe in them 2 weeks ago. And just because they got past the Kings, I'm not really buying it right now. We will talk about the Avalanche and Dallas, but we will save that for the betting preview of tonight's Game 7. Going over to the East really quickly, I don't really have a ton to say about. I thought that the Canadians had a chance in a couple of those games going to overtime. Ultimately, they did what they wanted to do this year. We talked about it last time you were on with me. They played meaningful games down the stretch. They made it to the playoffs. Nothing but good things ahead of the Montreal Canadiens. The better team won. I don't have too much to add on that series. The Carolina Hurricanes beat the Devils 4-1 as well. The Devils depleted. Just didn't have enough guys. That's just the bottom line. And they lost guys. They were already banged up going in, and they lost guys as these series went on. The two series in the Atlantic are the two that really gained the most attention. I don't have much to say about Florida and Tampa other than what in the world just happened. Like, I can't remember who you picked, Jim. I picked Tampa in 7 games, and it's like you pick a team to win in 7 games. If they lose in 6, it's like, okay, but this thing was over before it started. Again, like you said, Vasilevsky did not play well. They could not score. Lots of things were wrong with Tampa Bay. Was this more about Tampa Bay just not getting the job done, or Florida just like duped us all for the last 2 months and they're just back and they're just ready to party?
I think Florida's back and ready to party. I mean, like back. Like Matthew Tkachuk's back in the lineup. Brad Marchand with Luster-Ryan and Lundell. That line's just rolling. The addition of Seth Jones, Aaron Ekblad, their D is just really good. Nate Schmidt, Bobrovsky's showing why he's one of the best goalies, if not the best goalie in the world. Reinhart, Bennett. Like, this team is complete top to bottom, and they turn it on in the playoffs, and they know how to play that style. It's going to grind you out, make you work, beat you up, just find ways to score goals, and the series is going to be over. And Tampa had a chance to force a Game 6, didn't do it in Game 4. They allowed 2 goals in 11 seconds. That was the series. Pretty much it was over. They go back, and then Florida's just like, yeah, we'll just beat you up even more, 2-on-1s. And Tampa's playing with a whole bunch of injuries. I just want to know, I get it, like, all these injuries come out, but, like, Nikita Kucherov still put up one of his best seasons and was playing with an injury since February. So what happened come playoff time? Like, Florida just figured out a way to just shut you down. No power play goals, like, hasn't scored a postseason goal in a while. Last couple of series just kind of been invisible. Jake Getzel played well. All these guys are just beat up. But Tampa, Florida's the new Kings down there, and the Panthers are showing why. They've taken over the mantle, and maybe Tkachuk is right. Maybe it's not even a rivalry, because the way Florida's just dominating these.
I love that so much. It's so
maybe
funny.
he's right. I mean, look, but Tampa beat them the first couple times in the playoffs, and then they beat them a couple times in the playoffs. But the last couple times haven't even been close.
It's been 8-2 in the last 2 playoff rounds. 8-2.
Yeah. So, I mean, Florida just does what Florida does, gets in the playoffs and just beats everybody up. Toronto's going to have to figure out a way to beat this team. Like 4 times. Like, it's going to be a difficult challenge. Right? Oh, yeah. And we mentioned Carolina, Washington. That's going to be a fun series because, Washington's got to stop a very, very aggressive Carolina PK. That could score a shorthanded goal. Carolina's power play is playing really well. There are reports that Freddie Anderson might be back. If he's actually back in the series, that changes a lot of things for the Hurricanes because their goaltending equals what Logan Thompson could do for Washington. Washington has to be prepared to grind games out against this team. This is not like the Montreal Canadiens. They have a lot more weapons. Martinook, Svechnikov, Aho. Like, Carolina's figuring out a way.
Yeah.
Games. Washington looks really good too. But Florida, to me, is still the best team in the Eastern Conference. And it's not even close.
Yeah, and I said this before the playoffs started that whoever made it out of this division, in my opinion, was going to the Cup final. And
great.
So now you have Toronto, Florida, duke it out. I thought if Tampa could beat Florida, I thought that Toronto and Tampa was a much better matchup for the Leafs. That's an obvious statement, but that's how I felt. Yeah, this is going to be it's going to be a very difficult series. I do like where the Leafs are at better than I did, 2 years ago when they played Florida. But we'll see what happens with it. To kind of
the issue with Florida, you look at it, right? And you say to yourself, okay, well, look, they put this relentless forecheck on you. They cause turnovers at blue line or in a neutral zone. You don't win the neutral zone. The puck's going the other way. Puck could be in the back of your net. And a game switches like that. They just grind you to the water, win battles along the wall. Like, these guys know what it takes to win. You need, I know they got past the first round, and Matthews and Nylander and all these guys have big games. And I love Mike Rupp, and I love what he does on TV, and he's a TV guy, and I know how TV works. And I don't want to hear about William Nylander needing a killer instinct in the playoffs when he's been the best player for the Toronto Maple Leafs in the playoffs for the last probably 6 years.
Yes.
He's been the best player for the Toronto Maple Leafs out of the core four that's been there. So, to say William Nylander doesn't have a killer instinct. By the way, who showed up in Game 7 last year for the Toronto Maple Leafs? It was William Nylander. He's the only guy that had a goal. So, William Nylander knows the big moment. The other guys didn't until now.
If I'm not mistaken, in Game 6 and 7 last year, Nylander scored the last 3 goals of the Leafs postseason.
Exactly. So,
if I remember correctly.
I know he didn't have a great series this year, but he's been the best player for the Toronto Maple Leafs in the playoffs.
Well, what happens is, and you know this, in Game 5, on
the entire team was bad.
Yeah, and the short-handed goal by Ottawa to make it 2-0. The back check was just watched the back check on Nylander.
Non-existent.
And that's what happened. And so this kind of segues to what I want to talk about. And then we're going to go to, in my opinion, the best series of the playoffs, Dallas, Colorado, Game 7 tonight. And we're going to wrap up the show with that. But I just want to say, I got a message because, listen, I cover Dallas. I cover Winnipeg. I'm a Leaf fan. And while I think that I am more objective than most fans, where I think I can put on my media glasses and kind of look at things for what they are, I do let myself be a fan. I let myself ride the waves, and Thursday night was phenomenal because the Leafs played 7:00 and Dallas played 9:30 Game 6. And for the first 2.5 hours of that night, I could just be a Leaf fan. What happened with the Nylander back check in Game 5 is what happens in Toronto. And this drove me crazy. After they lost Game 5, I promise you, Jim, all of my Leaf fan friends, everybody's texting me, it's over. They're doing it again. They're losing in 7. Don't bring Marner back. Everyone is making decisions for the offseason because they were up 3-0. Now it's 3-2 and it's all over. They're doing it again. I saw on Twitter, which take it for what it's worth.
Exactly. There's a lot of negativity. Let's just say recently I've seen a lot of negativity on Twitter when it comes to what's going on, especially with the TV.
Burning Matthews jerseys in the street.
Yeah, but I'm not even talking about that. It's everybody's criticizing the TV schedule and, oh, well, how come this isn't on and we're pulling away from handshakes and this and that. You know what? At least the games are on television. At least it's not on the Outdoor Life Network anymore.
Yeah, fair enough. I found it so funny how everybody was convinced after Game 5 that the Leafs are about to do it again. And I was not nervous about it at all. Now, if they lost in Game 6, then I'm sure I would have been nervous about it. But good for the Leafs and the core four and all this stuff for them digging deep, getting the job done. Now, on the other side of that coin, to everybody giving Leaf fans a hard time for stressing out like I just did, but I am one, so I feel like I'm kind of whatever. people who always criticize, well, the Leafs building's not loud enough, and Leaf fans are they complain too much, and they're this and they're that. Those people are ignoring the context of what we have had to go through in this market for the last 21 years. Like, we literally won our second series in the last 21 years. And you know what? Those people, when you burn a Matthews jersey when you're up 3-2, that's on you. But if you're actually like stressed out like a normal person, hey man, this market has been through a lot.
But you know what? I think the difference now is the coach. Not to take anything away from Sheldon Keefe, because I think he's done a great job in New Jersey, and he did a good job in Toronto.
I'm with you.
Craig Berube, just the calmness that he's brought to this team, like especially the way he's handled the media and the outside noise after Game 5 and that loss. He's like, yeah, we're still up 3-2. There's nothing to worry about here. Like, and the players kind of followed suit. Like Matthews was like, yeah, we're still up 3-2. Tanev, yeah, we're still in control of this thing. Like, the calmness and the demeanor of a guy who's won a Stanley Cup has kind of really rubbed off on this team.
And I think that was really important for him. The players, I don't think fans really cared what they had to say after Game 5 because we've been hearing it for the last 9 years. But Berube is like brand new, right? He has no history here so as far as his coaching career. So I 100% am with you. And what's funny, Jim, is that when the Leafs beat Tampa a couple of years ago in round 1, John Tavares, Game 6.
Yeah.
Dude, this city, you would have thought we won the cup. Like, everyone's leaving their houses and the downtown Toronto.
Yeah, party was on. We won Florida, all that stuff.
Yeah. This season, we're obviously really happy, but it's
business-like.
And it feels like the Berube factor has hit the fans now that the series is over, and we'll see what happens with it. But
it's business-like. Okay, we took care of business. Okay, who's our next opponent?
Yeah, and I'm really, really happy that this team obviously got through. I think it's going to be a really good round. I am doing a round 2 preview on Monday. I have yet to figure out who will be joining me, but do join me on Total Apex Media and on Pucks Across Borders YouTube, and we will have a full round 2 preview. All right, Jim. Game 7.
Yes.
Avalanche. Dallas. We have not spoken since the series was 3-2 or 2-2. When was the last time we spoke? I don't remember.
I think it was 3. No, I think it was 2-2. And
it was 2-2.
Dallas won.
So Game 5, Dallas comes out and has the best game of their postseason. Not only that, the best game they have played in like 2.5 months. 6-2 win at home. Rantanen and Wyatt Johnston and Mason Marchment, the big boys, finally come through after the depth carrying them offensively for 4 games. Well, 3 because they were shut out in Game 4. So 3 games. Mikko Rantanen, Wyatt Johnston, all those guys finally come into play. Although like they have played well, but they finally got on the score sheet in game number 5. Game 6, you see Colorado go up 2-0. And then by the end of the second period, Dallas is up 4-3. Mikko Rantanen and Roope Hintz each get 4 points in the second period. The whole Finnish line, the Finnish mafia, just exploded in that second period. 20 minutes away from moving on to the second round. And the Avalanche, thanks to one of the flukiest, dude, I swear, 2 of the flukiest goals that I've seen in my entire life.
Fluky series of goals.
Dude, it's crazy. And they're all favoring Colorado. That's the funny thing, is that I'm really curious to see what's going to happen tonight. But I believe it was Sam Steele shoots it off of Colin Blackwell's shoulder, beating Ottinger. And it looked like a 12-seam like curveball. Like it bounced off the shoulder and just went up and boom, down into the net.
It was crazy. But the fact that Rantanen and Hintz each had 4 points to tie an NHL record in a period. Like, and that was only the second period. Rantanen looks so much more comfortable now.
Oh my goodness.
He looks so good. That finish line is looking really good for them. They're carrying him right now. Wyatt Johnson up and down. No Jason Robertson right now, potentially. I mean, they both, Heiskanen and Robinson have been ruled out for the board, but they were on the ice for the optional skate today. So who knows? Like, they're out, but maybe they're in. Who knows? But
Yeah.
who knows with that? But Jake Ottinger's played well. Like, there's just been a lot of fluky goals. Look, I know a lot of people on Twitter from Avs fans are just like, oh, well, Mackenzie Blackwood played great early. I'm like, it's the Mackenzie Blackwood I know. Like, there's been a lot of goals in this series that he's given up recently that not been good. And again, does that contract go back to bite the Colorado Avalanche in the butt if they don't get past the first round and get past the Dallas Stars? Look, Pete DeBoer 8-0 in Game 7. We know that history, right? This team has got to get past Dallas. If Colorado and it'd be very disappointing. Look, Dallas is at home ice. I don't know if we've yet to see the best of the Colorado Avalanche yet. Like,
I don't think so.
I don't
maybe
think
game 4. Maybe game 4, but I also think Dallas.
At times, it was a second period that really did the Dallas Stars in there.
Yeah. Well, and that's my point. It's like, I don't think Dallas really played that well. Like, when you're like really good, but the team is really bad, then you're not really that good because the team was really bad.
Dallas at home, Pete DeBoer, everything. Like, I mean, if I was putting money on this game, I'd take Dallas at plus 134.
Yeah.
Because.
Well, and so we'll throw out the odds, and I do want your thought on something. So yes, Colorado, these odds have shifted over the last couple minutes. Colorado is now minus 164. So more money coming in on Colorado. The Stars are now plus 136. Minus 1.5 for the Avalanche is plus 158. Plus 1.5 for the Stars is minus 196. The over 5.5 at plus 102. And the under is minus 124. Now, the Avalanche were up 2-1 late or halfway through the third period in game 1. 3-1 goal, the empty net goal, and then a garbage time goal. So it's really a 2-1 game and balloons to a 5-1 Colorado win. Game 4, Colorado wins 4-0. Dallas, they were pretty good for the first 10 minutes, and then the wheels kind of fell off, and that was that. Shorthanded goal that the Avalanche scored really sunk the Stars as well. And then in game number 6, Colorado 2-0 lead, full marks to Dallas for coming back and getting the lead, but they were behind the 8 ball rather quickly. My question to you, Jim, is the 3 Dallas Stars wins. Game 2, 3, both go to overtime. I know that the one game was a 4-3 score, but a 2-1 win in the first win or second win was 2-1, then 4-3. 4-3, then 2-1. Game 5 that Dallas won, they scored with like 9 seconds into the game, and that was the game. My opinion, if the Dallas Stars are going to win this game, it has to be a 2-1, 3-2 hockey game. I think when they lose, now game 5 is what it.
Yeah, it was crazy game.
But when you get in these high scoring games, that's the Avalanche written all over it. And to me, if you want to win these games, it has to be somewhat boring, right? Like tie checking, low scoring. You're not beating the Avalanche 7-5. You're just not.
100. Not with Dallas just doesn't have the firepower to do that. If Heiskanen and Robertson are in the lineup, yeah, they could do that. But I think Dallas has to make this a 3-1 hockey game, and the third goal is an empty netter. Like, it has to be the game. Like, look. Rantanen, I think, has 8 points over his last 2 games, something like that. So they got to keep him with Hintz, and that line's got to just keep rolling. Need more depth scoring somewhere. Johnson's got to step up. Need Matt Duchene to score some goals here, because Colorado does have the depth, and Colorado can get going. Kel McCarr has not been his best. Nate McKinnon could be better, and I think if I was Nate McKinnon, I'd channel that inner Michael Jordan that he has, because he's not nominated for the Hart Trophy, and he probably should be. When they say, when Jordan said, the 1 year when they went up against the Jazz, Karl Malone got MVP. Okay? I'm not nominated. Okay, I'm going to show you why. I'm going to take over, because the guys that have been nominated, Kucherov out of the playoffs, Hellebuck hasn't played well. Draisaitl's on the second round. He scored 50-plus goals, but he missed several games because of injury.
Yeah.
Nathan McKinnon's willing this Colorado Avalanche team to Game 7 right now.
Yeah.
Literally willing this team. So,
yeah.
It's going to be a really fun game. It's so hard to choose because this series has been so good. How can you not go against Pete DeBoer in that record, though?
I know. And that's the thing, man. 8-0 in Game 7s. I wrote a piece that was released on thehockeywriters.com just before we started the show about the history of Game 7, both for the Dallas Stars and Pete DeBoer. How much does that really matter? I think it really does matter. I think that the players believe that it matters. Everyone, I think ESPN wrote a really good column talking to the Dallas Stars players as to why this guy doesn't lose Game 7s. Really good piece. You should go check it out. I'm curious, Jim. I think that McKinnon's been good. I don't think he's been great.
No,
I think Carr has been okay. I don't even think he's been that good. This can go either way here. Either these two guys have been okay and they're about to go off, or the Dallas Stars found a way to silence these guys the best that they can, and it's inevitable. At home, the Dallas Stars find a way to win. Final prediction. Doesn't have to be crazy. Where are you going on this one, bro?
It might be tough. Maybe no prediction winner or whatever. But I don't think. I think this is gonna be a low scoring game. I just don't see this being a high scoring affair.
I'm with you.
I think this could be defensive oriented. Team's gonna get back to just. It's gonna be a very tight first period. I want to lean Dallas because of home ice and Pete. I just don't know. I mean, it's tough. Not compelling television, but I flip a coin because I can see either team winning right now.
So my favorite bet in this game, as a result goes, is the under. I love the Dallas money line at the value that you're getting, right? Plus 136 for Dallas at home, Game 7, Pete DeBoer 8-0 record. I love the value of Dallas on the money line, but you shouldn't just make bets because you love the value. If you think Dallas is going to win, then make the bet, but you can't just be betting it because of the price. However, the under is where I go. Under 5.5 at minus 124. I think that feels like the script of this game. If you want to get extra cute with it, 60-minute money line, a tie is plus 340 for this game to go to overtime. And I don't hate that bet either. So plus 340 to go to overtime, a little long shot bet for you. And under 5.5 at minus 124. No props for me tonight because I just feel like Game 7 is just a crapshoot.
You don't know who's gonna score. I'll tell you this. Somebody's gonna have 2 goals tonight. Just don't know who. Because that's usually how it works. Some rando just shows up and scores 2 goals.
Well, I mean, listen, I think Matt Duchene, he scored the double OT winner last year, Game 6. He's plus 370. He hasn't scored yet. I mean, Jamie Benz plus 480. Doesn't this feel like
old guys? The old guys should show up today, right? Like it's an old guy that should do it.
Cody Ceci, Cody Ceci gets some random bounce.
Gonna have a goal tonight. Watch.
Plus 1,600 for Cody Ceci. All right. Before we wrap up the show, Jim, as always, thank you for joining me. Before we wrap up, very quickly, St. Louis, Winnipeg tomorrow night. There's no show for me tomorrow, so just going to quickly throw out our picks for St. Louis and Winnipeg. In Winnipeg tomorrow night, the St. Louis Blues are plus 130. The Winnipeg Jets are minus 156. So since we started talking, some Winnipeg money coming in. Minus 1.5 for the Jets is plus 176. Plus 1.5 for the Blues, minus 220. The over is 5.5 at plus 152. And the under is minus 188. Oh, that over plus 152, 5.5. That feels nice. Jim, what do you got, man? Blues, Jets in Winnipeg, the whiteout, game 7.
I'm going to take St. Louis on the road. I'm taking the over. The overs hit pretty much in every game this series.
Yep.
The Blues have averaged 3 goals on the road. Or they only got 1 goal in game 2, but still, the last couple games they've had 3.
Yep.
I don't know what Jet team's going up. I mean, if it's the Jet team in game 5, great. Winnipeg's winning. If it's the one that's been on the road, I think St. Louis is winning this series. I just don't see how Winnipeg's going to overcome everything right now.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I want the Jets to win.
Me too.
Don't get me wrong. I want the Jets to win. I don't know if they can do it. I just don't think they have the psyche to do it, especially if they go down.
And I think that's what I've seen. Like, I was talking about how the Jets or how the Blues, like, it's hard to really praise the Blues when the Jets are they've just been so awful at times. But if there's one thing to praise the Blues on, it's they just look like once they grab the lead, they're just not letting it go. Like, they're just determined to win this hockey game and to beat the soul right out of you. And that's what they've been doing. Listen, there was one hockey game in this series that hit the under. I know it's game 7, but 5 of 6 games go over the number pretty comfortably.
Yeah.
Plus 150 plus for over 5.5. I'm there with you. And when the Blues win, man. Yeah. The Blues aren't winning 2-1. The Blues are winning with 4 or 5 goals, and we'll see if the Jets can keep up. So I'm right there with you. Winnipeg Jet or St. Louis Blues. And to your point, man, I cover the Jets. And I cover the Stars. I want to be covering at least one of these teams next week. I don't want to be out of the playoffs too, so I would love it to see the Jets win.
I mean, look, I think one of those teams, I think Dallas has a more realistic chance of jumping to the next round than the Winnipeg Jets do right now. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. All right, Jim, man, as always, thank you so much for joining me. I know you're a busy guy, especially playoff time.
Before we get out of here, so we talked, right? Mike Sullivan, I mentioned the Mike Sullivan stuff. I'm not the only one that has that opinion of Mike Sullivan. I'm seeing more and more people having the same opinion about that. Big time. Maybe I do know what I'm talking about. There's a reason you have me on, right, Mark?
Dude, 100%. I will say I'm still hearing a lot of people. It's kind of I'm hearing people agree with what you're saying, but in a gentle way, basically saying oh yeah, Mike Sullivan's a good coach, but the Rangers have a lot of work to do, and he might not last there. And they're kind of putting the blame on Chris Drury rather than admitting the fact that maybe
Drury's definitely to blame for the mess. I don't think he deserved a 5-year contract extension.
No, of course not.
But again, we can talk about that another time. It's what the mess is going on in Vancouver and all that. Oh man. But
yeah.
Again, get your front office fixed.
I was hoping that we'd have a day off between rounds so we could talk about all the other nonsense that's going on in this crazy league.
Jim Rutherford needs to just look. There's a thing. There used to be a thing. I'll bring it here. Last point because I know we both gotta go.
Sure.
So there used to be an award that there was a radio show called Mike and Mike in the Morning on ESPN Radio.
Yeah.
They made fun of people who didn't do anything. It's called the Just Shut Up Award. Jim Rutherford needs to get that because he just doesn't know when to keep his mouth shut. And we could dive into this another time when we talk about Canucks and all the turmoil with all these off seasons with all these teams. Like, dude, you don't have a year and 2/3. You have a year to figure out whether or not Quinn Hughes is staying in Vancouver. You have until next July 1st to figure it out, not beforehand. Not to the following trade deadline. You have till next July 1st to know whether or not he's staying.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Listen, man, I said this on your show, and I said this. I think I was on a Hockey Writers pod talk. I can't remember, but I've stopped like I have stopped digging deep when it comes to Vancouver. I've just come to the conclusion that the Canucks fans can't have nice things. And that's all this is that they'll just never be happy. And I'm sorry, love you all. But that's just kind of the way it goes. All right, really quickly before we wrap it up, I forgot to give out our best bets. And usually I ask you, but you know what? You and I seem to be on a pretty general consensus for all this. So why don't, it's Game 7 weekend. Let's throw out a 4-leg parlay on FanDuel. You can boost it to 50%. I'm sure you can on other apps as well. I know BetMGM does their profit boosts. Same with DraftKings. I am on FanDuel 50% profit boost. Dallas Stars money line. Dallas Stars Colorado under 5.5 goals. St. Louis Blues money line. St. Louis Blues Winnipeg Jets over 5.5 goals. That is plus 1911 boosted to 2867. So plus 2000 plus 2867 on a 50% profit boost. So you get the Devil Stars win tonight, sweat a little bit tomorrow night, and hopefully you make some cash over the weekend. Jim, where can everybody find your work? What do you got coming in the next couple of days?
Yeah, so at fullpresshockey.com is where you can find me. Jim Behringer on Twitter, X Machine. Full Press Hockey, follow along on YouTube. I'm just putting together a Rangers clip for the weekend. Talked with the great Russ Cohen. I've got Blue Line Blast podcast that I'm going to be doing as well with Matthew Blittner. Just put out some new articles about Jacob Markstrom and the New Jersey Devils. As well as 4 candidates for the New York Islanders general manager job that you should be looking at that people might be overlooking because we look at the normal suspects, but based on their track record and people I've talked to, maybe these guys, if you want to build a winning team, maybe these are the guys you want to be looking at. So got things like that. Going to be dropping an Eastern Conference second round preview along with all the betting stuff as well. Check it out. I also got the article up on RG about Ryan O'Reilly and the Devils. NHLrumors.com flowing. I'll have a new Kings opinion piece up as well there. So I'm everywhere. Check me out.
Absolutely love it. Jim, as always, thank you so much for joining me. Everybody, as always, this show brought to you by First Round Collectibles. Right now with promo code Sports Addict, get 10% off whatever sports card you want in the entire First Round Collectibles store. They have an ongoing sale up to 50% off. That means you get up to 60% off with promo code Sports Addict on selected cards. TotalApexSports.com. Lots of great playoff content coming from their site as well. Thank you all for watching. We will see you next time.